Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Aries, and today's video is going to be about the new moon solar eclipse in Aries happening on April 8th, 2024. And actually, as I'm making the video, we've just experienced the eclipse. So this happened at 2:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, like I am, that means it was 11:21 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So as I'm making the video, it's about 1:30 p.m., just a couple hours after the exact conjunction of the sun and the moon, because we know all solar eclipses are the new moon, and it's the sun conjunct the moon, right? And the moon in a solar eclipse is moving past the sun and hiding the light of the sun. So let's talk about the chart. Now, I'll probably mention some things about the full moon lunar eclipse that we had on March 25th. And if you haven't been following that particular eclipse, then you can go back in my videos and find a video on that. And so let's talk about this new moon eclipse. Now, it's the new moon in Aries, and so we want to look at Mars because Mars is the planetary guide to Aries. So Mars is guiding us in this new moon solar eclipse. So we want to be looking at that. We want to really be looking at our own instincts, because that's what Mars is. Mars is our masculine nature. And with Aries, we know that this is an initiation. It's a cardinal sign. And so this is initiating something new. And we know with eclipses, whenever it's an eclipse, this has very long-standing effects, meaning that what we're seeding right now is going to actually be in a cyclical fruitioning, really for 18 years or so, 19 years or so, until we experience the next North Node in Aries, right? And so there's also a fruitioning point when the South Node moves into Aries, and that's in about 8 years. So whatever is happening now does have long-term effects, and this is why I absolutely love tracking the eclipses and really paying attention to how it's aspecting planets or placements in my own natal chart, but also how we're collectively evolving in regards to our relationship to these particular aspects of our own consciousness, and this being Aries and Libra. And this is about our instincts, our Mars, how we're actually acting on behalf of our own needs and our own desires, what we desire to initiate, whatever it is that's new and that we see is an aspect of our identity that we're integrating. And so what is Mars doing in this chart? Well, you know, Mars is in a balsamic conjunction to Saturn in Pisces. And in case you don't know, balsamic means that it's finishing up or completing a cycle between those two planets. So Mars and Saturn, and Mars and Saturn is really interesting to me because I always think of Mars as the, because it's a seed point and an initiation, it's like the adolescent Mars. It's the adolescent male, the adolescent masculine, no matter what your gender is that you identify with or you know, are born with, or this is your masculine nature, how you really instinctually move towards that which you love. So Mars has a very special relationship with Venus, being that Mars is the ruler not only of Aries and Scorpio. Aries sits across from the wheel or the sky from Libra, Venus-ruled sign, right? That's the yang form of Venus. And then Mars, being the ruler of Scorpio, sits across from Taurus, which is a Venus-ruled sign. the yin form of Venus. And so there's a special creative relationship that happens between Mars and Venus. And those two planets are so much about really our own self-actualization process, how we create, how we actually embody our desires and what we are passionate about. But it's also related to our own evolutionary momentum, as Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio and Mars is always going to be acting on behalf of Pluto, right? It's our instinct to act on behalf of what it is that we sense is our next evolutionary step. And so how does this relate to Saturn? Well, Saturn is like, it's like the wise elder, right? It's where we've actually, Saturn is the part of our consciousness that actually creates structure in our lives to support that which we desire to create and to sustain, to maintain in our lives. And so Saturn is really about learning from the cycle of how we've acted upon our desires and how we've gained wisdom in really recognizing what works for us and what is not working for us. And so this is where Saturn is the teacher, and it teaches us how to actually build the momentum to embody that which we desire. And so if you remember at the full moon lunar eclipse that we experienced on March 25th, we had Venus just days before that eclipse actually come into a balsamic conjunction with Saturn in Pisces at 12 degrees of Pisces. And then at the full moon eclipse, Venus was in a new phase conjunction to Saturn in Pisces. And so this could have had us really coming into a completion, because a full moon does imply a completion. And at that full moon, the full moon was at 5 degrees of Libra. And so then the moon continued on beyond the exact full moon and then made a quincunx to Venus in that new phase conjunction to Saturn and Pisces. And that quincunx is really about how can we improve upon this configuration of the Venus in the new phase conjunction to Saturn. So how it is we can improve upon our own Venusian consciousness in building what we desire to embody, right? And so that Venusian nature would have been, we would have been sensing with the moon, right? Our Venusian nature in really recognizing what we're sensing. Venus is the senses, what we're sensing, and in regards to what it is that we can really, what we want to be magnetizing to us to really embody our desires. And also, how it is that we need to take care of our needs, really take care of what we're feeling in regards to what we're sensing in our environment. And is it really, is there something that we need to utilize our discernment with to really recognize what resonates and what doesn't resonate in regards to what it is that we desire to build and the ideas that we desire to embody in regards to our ideal, because it's Pisces, right? And so this is really about, in Pisces, we can really love anything and everything and all that exists, which is absolutely brilliant. But we do have to shape our consciousness. And Saturn is really about shaping our consciousness so that we can truly embody our desires. We can truly live and experience our desires. So that piece is interesting at the full moon, right? And then now at the new moon, Mars being in a balsamic conjunction to Saturn. Now, this new moon is not only the sun and moon conjunct, but also conjunct Chiron to the minute in Aries and Mercury retrograde in Aries. And so this can have us really, again, looking to our instinctual nature. And are we really acting upon what it is that really takes care of us first? Because our first and foremost obligation is to ourselves, to our own evolutionary journey and evolutionary momentum. And that really, as we are attending to what is truly our needs in any given moment, we are really being authentic with ourselves. We're actually really being in integrity with our own needs and our own desires. That's informed by our Mars consciousness. And as we evolve and grow, we will find that we outgrow things, which is definitely a Mars, Venus, Saturn topic we would want to be looking at, because Saturn is about maturity and it's about authenticity. And so we have to really honor our own needs and our own desires and the truth of those things in any given moment in order to mature, to really take responsibility for ourselves and our own creations, our own creative capacity as well. And so this is about the maturation of our yang consciousness. This is about recognizing where we may have subscribed to ideas where it is our responsibility or our job to be something for someone else, to do something for someone else first. But this is about healing any confusion collectively around what it is that we are individually responsible for, so that we can all really position ourselves in our right place, in our proper place to be in true alignment with our personal power, because we cannot be aligned with our personal power if we are actually not tending to our own needs, or with the expectation that others are responsible for our needs, or really enabling someone else to lean on us and disempower themselves, right, in regards to meeting their own needs as well, and really taking responsibility for their own creation. So this is really about collectively maturing, all of us individually, collectively maturing in regards to taking responsibility for our own co-creation with Source, and really actually plugging into Source rather than plugging into other people for our sense of power, our sense of direction, our choice making, and our own self-actualization and creativity. And the more that we can really own that in ourselves, the more expansive our creativity will become. Remember, Pluto is in Aquarius, and this is about exposing where it is that we may be leaking our power, leaking our self-actualization process, or in other words, not really potently self-actualizing in the way that we desire, because we're leaking power somewhere. And likely wherever we're leaking power, it's because we've been conditioned by past circumstances, situations, people, places, things, relationships, whatever it was, in our own evolutionary process, in our own awakening process, where we were conditioned to actually disengage from our own power, or rely on others for our advancement, or for our creative expression, or our ideas, or validation for our ideas or our creativity. This is about really actually centering within ourselves. Aries and Libra is all about centering within oneself, and that really understanding that the external yang is really a projection of our own consciousness. And so we really want to be projecting our consciousness from an authentic place, from really sensing our own Venusian nature, our own needs, Venus is about understanding what it is that is really our personal needs, desires, and loves, right? What it is that really drives us in our heart chakra, right? And then acting on behalf of that, to grow the heart chakra, to grow our experience of our love nature, of our expansive love nature. I say expansive too because on April 20th, Jupiter is going to be in a new phase conjunction or conjunct. So completing a cycle with Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, Venus's sign, a Venusian sign, right? So this is about really making our Venusian nature bigger. And we do that by actually acting upon our genuine passion, our genuine love nature, not how someone or something maybe influences our perception of our own masculinity or our own femininity, our own Mars, our own Venus, our own masculine and feminine, right? Rather than, we could have, okay, what I'm trying to say is that we could have really been conditioned by not only the society, but the collective, the culture, our relationships, our family of origin, our family in general, the groups that we've connected to in our lives. We could have been influenced by any and all of those things in how we relate to our own Mars and masculine consciousness, as well as how we relate to our own Venus and feminine consciousness. And how we have been literally wired. So our brain synapses make these connections, and likely very, very young, and builds upon that, right? In the way in which we relate to masculine and feminine, no matter what gender we're in, right? So this is really about maturing in really taking responsibility for the ideas that we've subscribed to, that we've osmosed, that actually potentially can create or created a imbalance in our masculine and feminine nature. Chiron in Aries and conjunct Mercury retrograde in Aries is really about really discerning internally our ideas, our thoughts, our perceptions of what masculinity really means. And this is really interesting to me because it was pointed out to me by one of my teachers that, and I relate to it, we often think of nurturing as a feminine quality, but nurturing is an action. And so Mars, our masculinity, is about nurturing. And what does the doing of nurturing is really about growing things, and actually tending to the environment so that what it is that we don't desire to grow, we separate ourselves from Mars, and that what we do desire to grow, we've created space for in the environment to have space to expand, to grow, right? And you can see this with plants, right? If we want a plant to grow from seed into a strong root system and then, really blossoming, flowering out, it has to have space to blossom, to flower out, to grow, right? The soil has to be tended in the sense that it has nutrients, right? We don't have things that we don't want to grow that are taking nutrients from the soil. So this is about separating ourselves with discernment, not necessarily judgment, allowing all things to exist, right? But also recognizing what are my personal tools that I relate to, that really actually inform my personal process. And remember that anything that's even negative can actually inform the positive. It can inform what is positive. So all things are always working for the good, especially if we, really are in that mindset. And so this is really about honoring our Mars consciousness to actually nurture our own heart to what we love, to nurture what we love, what we value, what we care about. Because whatever it is that we value and care about is naturally going to be where it's attractive to us, because it's a tool for us to evolve, to expand, to grow. So this is important, and this is about really maturing. And I think part of that maturation process is really honoring that not all ideas serve us, but they are and do have a place for others. They are serving others in some way, even if we don't understand it. And yet honoring what it is that we are naturally repelled or repulsed by. And even if that's in the moment. So, we might not necessarily believe or think we're always repulsed by a specific thing, but maybe in the moment it's not for us, right? And so this is really about honoring what we're feeling. One of the things that I've really noticed about and around this eclipse is just how much kind of fear and, almost just hype there is around this eclipse. And while it is a very important eclipse because of the fact that it's conjunct Chiron, conjunct Mercury retrograde, we're coming into the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, which only happens every 84 years, right? So that's incredible. And by the way, Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions will happen every 12 years, but in Taurus, only every 84 years, right? So this is important. And Taurus is about our Venusian nature, what we love. It's our internal heart chakra. It's about honoring our senses, what we're attracted to, what we're not attracted to. And in the moment, really honoring that. That's been a really big one for me, as this eclipse season has been really aspecting my personal planets in a lot of ways. And I've really been slowing down enough to feel. And so we can be looking at how has our instincts been throughout this eclipse season. Have we been honoring the instinct whenever that means to speed up in specific ways, whenever that means to slow down in specific ways, where we need to be gentle with ourselves, maybe not expect so much of ourselves, and be willing to pivot when necessary in order to take care of our own needs in the moment, so that we're giving ourselves support, so that we are honoring our own rhythms, because it is our own rhythms that's actually going to take us most quickly to the embodiment of our desires. And so this is about honoring that, honoring our feelings. This new moon is really helpful in regards to pointing to the healing that comes from honoring what we're sensing, what we're feeling, and how that can inform us to not only what our ideas are in the moment, but also dismantling us from ideas that maybe actually aren't really true for us anymore, or in this moment, that can be actually just projecting the past forward, right? Instead of really being in the moment going, oh, I'm feeling this, but what is that telling me? What idea is this stemming from? Is that really true in the moment? It could be like, like something like, I feel like I should be doing this video. I'll use myself as an example. I felt like I should already have this video out. And in this eclipse season, I've been having this come up over and over and over again. I might have mentioned it in other videos. if not in my lives on Facebook. But, you know, where I want this video to be out before the eclipse or at a specific time because of the details, uploading the video, all this kind of stuff. But where I'm at in my energy level, with my responsibilities, whether that's to myself, to my daughter, to my environment, to my clients, to my business, to my own chart, to my own personal work, evolutionary work, and really taking a moment, taking a pause to look at what's coming up for me right now. What kind of thoughts and beliefs am I actually operating on right now? Is that really resonant with who I am and what I really know about my own masculine nature, my own Venusian nature? What I know about all the archetypes, what I've learned about studying the archetypes since 2010, since I started studying astrology. You know, there's still some dismantling I've been having to do in actually letting go and trusting my rhythm, trusting my process, and knowing that the video will come out when it needs to come out for who it needs to come out for. And it'll be right timing for those that will hear something that can be really helpful and hopefully, you know, maybe pivoting into a new direction to really harness the momentum that can be had with this particular new moon eclipse. So the thing is, this new moon eclipse, it's not like everything's happening right at the eclipse. This has been building, right? And will continue to build because it's a new moon. So as the new moon crosses the sun, right, then the degrees of the sun, right? So then it's just going to start waxing towards the next full moon, waxing towards the next 6 months. The next 6 months when we'll experience more eclipses. And interestingly, the next eclipse is actually a full moon in Pisces. And so we'll be weaving in the Virgo Pisces axis and consciousness in our eclipses, when the nodes will then be moving in early 2025 into Virgo Pisces. And, you know, that's the healing axis. And so this eclipse conjunct Chiron and Aries is gonna really likely expose how we've been actually working with our instincts and our gut, how we've actually acted upon what we're feeling, how we've been acting upon what we're sensing. And then also giving us the clues of how we can actually let that inform us in the ideas we're operating from, so that we can actually have new ideas. Jupiter conjunct Uranus and Taurus. New ideas around what we deserve. You know, like what we deserve individually and collectively. Meaning that it is our birthright to trust our own instincts. It is our birthright to trust when it is time to rest and when it is time to take action. To learn from those things as well. We may not always do things what we see as perfect, but it was always the perfect information we needed to know to inform us of our next step. Building the momentum of what we desire to build. Mars conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And, you know, Mars will move beyond that Saturn, create a new phase conjunction, and then move right on in, coast right on in to Neptune. And likely in that time frame, when Mars conjuncts Neptune, we're going to have some dissolving of maybe some conditionings, ways in which we've acted in the past that We can now just dismantle because it doesn't work for us. That way we can start a new cycle with actually really embodying what it is that is ideal for us, what it is our vision is, and also in action towards that which we desire, and to protect and to nurture that which we love, to create space for that which we love, to create space for the heart to expand. And naturally then, for our own creativity to expand. Remember, Mars and Venus always acting really on behalf of this Pluto, right? So the soul. And how we're naturally just linked to the reason why we incarnate, which can be seen with Pluto by house and sign, where it is that we're really self-actualizing our power of creativity, and how that is our identity. It's who we become. And so again, becoming our love nature, right? And it first starts with loving ourselves and really tending to our needs, recognizing what we're feeling, what we're sensing, what it is that would support us in taking action in the way that we desire to take action, in showing up in the way we desire to show up, in being who we are, our authentic self, ourself in our integrity, and therefore also then having the capacity to attract and magnetize true love, true friendship, true compatibility, true support, because we've been doing that for ourselves. We've been truly supporting ourselves by truly honoring our needs and acting on them, hearing them, taking time that we need to relax so that we can hear ourselves, what we need, what we feel, what we sense, and how we've been acting upon that. And is it in alignment with what we need, what we love, who we are, what we sense, so that we're hearing the cues of what our next steps are from the internal dimension, not from the external dimension. No one can tell us. No one can tell us. We can share information with each other, but no one can really tell us every moment. No one's there going to be holding our hand every moment. So this is about guiding ourselves, navigating with our own emotional nature, our own senses, our own feelings, and our own definitions. We are the creators. We are the ones that are actually responsible for creating our life path and for integrating more of who we are. And so it first starts with being authentic with who we are in any given moment. And then how quickly we naturally magnetize all that we could love, all that we would support our journey in our evolutionary momentum and our creativity. So let's see. I wrote some notes. I want to be sure I tell you everything that I was thinking about. So let's see. We did that. Oh, you know what? New moon, at this new moon too, is that, interestingly, Venus is now in Pisces. Venus is now in Aries. After, moving beyond Saturn and Pisces, moving beyond Neptune and Pisces, then moving into Aries. And it's actually opposing the where the full moon was in Libra at 5 degrees of Libra. So Venus in Aries is now opposing that point where the full moon was at the eclipse on March 25th, right? So that's really, to me, also reiterating really listening to oneself, really listening to one's own actions. Notice your instincts during this eclipse. You know, were you getting all caught up in the collective frenzy about this eclipse? And maybe that's actually really helpful for you. So that there's no judgment there. It's really like, hey, maybe that informed you in some way, and that's exactly what needed to happen. And no matter what, it is exactly what needed to happen. Even if it's like, wow, yeah, I got caught up in the fear and I got caught up in the frenzy and I really didn't need to do that. So what idea was I operating from? Do I think that other people know more than what I need in this moment? There were people that were actually like, you shouldn't go outside during the eclipse. You should go outside during the eclipse. You shouldn't chase after eclipses. You should. Hey, what are you feeling? You know, you are your own authority. And that is the Venus and Mars conjunct Saturn too in this eclipse season. You are the authority. No one can tell you what your next step is other than sensing. And then, you know, maybe you want to go research information, talk to people, you know, that could be good. But you could also be with Mercury retrograde going, oh, that's what that person meant. Or, oh, I'm sensing the information in a new way. But anyways, looking at your instincts. Did you get caught up? Did you not? Did you trust what you needed in the moment? I know for me during the eclipse, I actually found myself in exactly what I wanted to be doing, which was actually taking a shower and just loving on myself. Like meaning, you know, showering, putting oil on my face, putting oil on my body, you know, taking the time, you know, like, you know, just doing my eyebrows and just, you know, like putting really nice products on my face and doing my hair in the way I wanted and just like taking the time. Now, you know, maybe not everyone relates to that, but that is a way that I love to take care of myself. It's just taking the time. Like I, you know, kind of did some self massage, you know, putting oil on and just like loving my body, you know. And hey, I have Mars in Taurus natally, so it's not surprising that that would be my instinct is, you know, to take care of myself in that way. But what is your instinct? How do you take care of yourself? How do you soothe yourself and really honor the needs of the moment? Maybe it's, you know, I'm sure, you know, it's unique to you, but one way we can be doing that is the way that I did. And so that's what I found myself doing. It's like, that's what I want to do. And if I make a video today, great. If I don't, I'm not going to expect it, you know? And I just kind of ended up making my way to the video, and here we are. And I've done it in a way in which has been really supportive of me and my needs, and like where I can actually show up authentically for you and, you know, not feel like I'm rushing or feeling like I'm not really centered in myself as I'm sitting here speaking with you about this eclipse. And, you know, this is something for me that has been a tendency. And I've got Chiron and Aries. This Chiron conjunct the North Node. This new moon solar eclipse is conjunct my Chiron. So I'm going through my Chiron return. And a lot of this has been, by the way, my moon is quincunx my Chiron. So this is actually quincunx my moon. All this setup in the new moon solar eclipse is quincunx my moon in the 3rd house. And so this has been a lot about, you know, really like trusting what I need to take care of myself, what I need to soothe myself so that I can actually be really present with what is right now. And I know that as I'm present with what is right now, for me, that's naturally going to attract the right people, places, situations, things, because I'm present with what is right now. And so I'm in a place of receiving, right? So this can be a part of it too, is like, in order to really receive, we have to be present. And that means acting on behalf of what is for us in the moment right now. And that positions us exactly. Right people, right places, right things, right situations, right feelings to show up authentically to the moment where all the creativity we could ever tap into exists. So the self-actualization of our creativity is being present. So I love that I, trusted my instinct to just take a shower, take care of my body, do the Venusian Taurus thing, right? And just really enjoy the moment and what feels good, and notice where my thinking might judge myself for doing that, or think that I should be doing something other than what I'm inclined to do in the moment. And I think this also has to do with self-trust, and that's what Taurus is really about, is the cultivation of self-trust. You trust your senses, trusting your senses to, inform your Mars and how to take action, to take care of yourself, to take care of your needs, to initiate things in the way that is going to be most effective for your self-actualization process and who you are. And really honoring who you are, because who you are is actually made up of needs, desires, and ideas, and an evolutionary momentum to self-actualize your light, right? So in order to do that, we have to take care of our needs and trust what we're sensing in the moment, and really own that, and really be centered within that in any given environment or situation. And so I really feel this new moon solar eclipse is about really aligning with your individuality, who you are. So that, which means needs, wants, desires, evolution, right? Your own personal light and brilliance. As we align with that, then all we could ever want, we will embody. So this is also, the healing of the identity. The thing is that, we've all osmosed collective ideas and cultural ideas, and those ideas can be interesting, and we can build with them. It's great. We build consciousness with them. But at the same time, I think that we find ourselves in this Piscean age and Virgo sub-age, as we're moving into the Aquarian age, we're finding that, my connection to all, to source, to my devotion to my own life has to stem from my own resonance and from my own ideas, meaning that not that all of our ideas are ours only, but meaning just that we can't rely on others to define reality for us. we have to own our authenticity and authority, because we are the star of our own show, right? We are our own contribution of light, and we have to own that and honor it and be the authority of that, right? And I think that there's just been a lot of insecurity that comes from thinking that there is a polarity of good and bad, and of a polarity of, I mean, we could say good and evil. The thing is that they serve each other, and that no one can define that for us. And, you know, it just feels like there's this idea that there's been a lot of overemphasis of projecting what is good or bad, rather than really discerning what is productive and what is deconstructing or debilitating of something, right? So I think a lot of people don't own their own authority because they have taken on this idea that they need to be a good person, which means ... right? Because someone told them that. I need to be a good man, and that means ... because someone told them that. I need to be a good woman, and that means ... because someone told them that, right? Or a good kid, a good daughter, a good son, a good teacher, a good whatever it is. But really, in order to be devoted to our own gift in our own life, those ideas really have to be resonant with us and who we are in our own path. So if we're feeling stuck in understanding who we are or what our path is, it can be that we took on ideas that are actually not ours. And so we have to remove them. This is all the Mercury retrograde in Aries too. So what ideas have we maybe osmosed about who we are from others that actually isn't who we are? And are we willing? Do we take action from a place of our own center and our own heart and our own evaluations? Or are we making other people our authority and causing codependency? Are we trying to be other people's authority and causing codependency as well? I think that this can come from being parented in ways where our parents may have been conditioned to believe that their role was to tell us how to create, tell us, what ideas we should be operating from, tell us how to relate to things. And really, as a parent, our only job really is to encourage safety. And then what can happen is, as we actually parent in a way where we're learning with our children we can recognize that there's equality there. And this actually assists a child to develop one's own authority, to develop one's own self-reliance in creating his or her reality or their reality, right? So then, you know, when we don't actually become our own authority in our developmental process as we're growing into an adult, we can then think that in order to have authority, we need to be someone else's authority. But we're never really in authority of someone else's self-actualization process or learning process as well. We can share what we learn and know, but it's always an individual and their personal evolutionary path and them really structuring their reality with the information that's beneficial for their personal evolutionary path, which is unique, right? So this is all about, too, really owning our own authority. And when we own our own authority, we are very creative people because we're not relying on other people to tell us what our process is. So let me see one more time. Is there anything else I want to tell you about what I wrote down? Oh, April 10th. So in 2 days, Mars will make that completing conjunction with Saturn and then cross over, right? And then continue on, as I said, and move towards Neptune, and then we'll go into Aries. And, you know, I want to look that up for you because that's an important piece. Because, again, we want to be tracking Mars because it rules this new moon eclipse. So Mars is going to, as I said, April 10th, conjunct Saturn. And then it will conjunct Neptune on April 29th. And it will move into Aries on May 1st. And so that's really interesting. And then Mercury is going to go direct at 15 degrees of Aries. So where the nodes are right now, actually, at the eclipses. So Mercury goes direct at 15 on April 25th. Isn't that interesting that Mercury goes direct at 15 degrees where the nodes are at the eclipses? Exactly. That is really interesting, I find. I want to see if I can find something here. Yeah, so that's cool. That is cool. So that Mercury direct is going to be like, hey, what were you finding during these eclipses? Your Mars, your Venus. Venus ruling the March 25th eclipse, Mars ruling the new moon solar eclipse on April 8th. Okay, and then what happens is then Mercury will come out of shadow on May 14th. So May 14th, May 15th. So yeah, that's interesting. And when it comes out of shadow, Mars will be at 10 Aries. So, we will look at that later. I could just keep going on and on because there's always so much to consider. But I don't want this to be too long, and we're already almost an hour. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this has been helpful. And if it has, please do like the video because it helps the algorithm. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you find this helpful, or you think you'd like to learn more. The more the merrier. And comment. Let me know how you're doing. I would love to know. I love interacting with people about astrology. I love talking astrology. I don't think I could get enough of it. So please do comment if you'd like. And thanks so much for joining me in the video. I will see you on the next video.